Come on in, my friend.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Nice to be here.
Have a seat right there. You go.
Rather be here than anywhere.
Is that right?
No.
Is this because all these other jokes for shows around here just terrible?
Yeah.
Finally, you found a good one.
There you go.
How is everything?
Yo, life is good, man. Life is good. Got a new
Author?
book we just dropped. Can you dig it?
Author, I can dig
Can
it.
you dig it? Actor,
I'll show the
author,
camera.
martial artist, businessman,
Is that what you've always wanted?
pioneer.
Have you a pioneer?
Yes, I've done a lot of firsts.
Necklace maker.
A lot of firsts.
What are you most proud of being a pioneer for? I feel like you're a pioneer, and don't take this the wrong way, for the trans community. It's become such a big thing now. When ToWongFoo came out, that was a risky move for you, for you and Leguizamo and
No, actually it wasn't.
You don't think so?
Much fun. No. It was so much fun. And, we all had our prospective careers at that time.
Right, that's why.
And I had already done a character like that on Broadway. So I was already familiar with it. I had gotten over, the trauma of putting on the dress.
Sure.
And tucking and all of that kind of stuff.
Did you tuck in that movie?
Yeah, of course you got to.
You got to. You
What
got
kind of harness?
You have to play the role, right?
I had to tuck.
It was much too abundant for me to just go loose.
Yeah, I would hate to see. Yeah, I'd hate to see what Wesley Snipes had to
He's
tuck
like-
with, like back braces, on back braces. Like,
Yeah,
we have
man,
to keep this thing constrained.
A roll of
It's
duct tape.
all about continuity. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Yeah,
Continuity.
continuity.
Right.
Oh,
Right. See? Wordplay.
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 Okay.
So, did everybody tuck in that movie, or were you more method?
I didn't check. I assume, but I don't really know.
Right. That's probably the right answer there. What are you most proud of for being a pioneer for when we talk about being a pioneer?
Just maybe being in the business, and doing the kind of work that we've done, the diversity of work that we've done.
Yeah.
I think that in and of itself has been an interesting milestone. Clearly, what we've been able to accomplish early on with that whole Blade project.
Hell
Yes.
yeah.
That in of itself was,
I love
that was
that.
something people rolled up and had made toilet tissue and threw it on the wall and hope it stuck.
Yeah, because, people have to understand that, like, now, making a superhero movie is like, of course you're going to make a superhero movie. But back then, Blade is not a no-brainer. Blade is another time where you'd say it's a risk, right?
Yes.
Companies would have
absolutely.
thought it was a risk to put that movie out.
Yeah. At that time, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it becomes this massive franchise.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
Like Talon of God.
Yes.
Somehow that's so big it swallowed Stephen Dorff whole.
So Talon of God is the book.
Talon of God is the book.
Did you always want to be a novelist?
Not particularly, but when you're trained at a professional theater arts training school, you're kind of conditioned and taught how to be ambidextrous and do a lot of different things. So you not only perform, but you learn how to work the sets, you learn how to pull cable, you learn how to write your own one-man shows, you learn how to write scenes.
Is
So
that
it lays that foundation for you,
is that because you're just so invested, or is it part survival mechanism?
That's to graduate. You can't graduate if you don't do well at that. They'll kick you out of the school.
But do you find yourself doing so many different things as a survival mechanism because show business is so
No.
flighty?
I'm abundantly, infinitely creative.
Yes.
And I do a lot of different things because I'm trying to explore the boundaries of my creativity. And the book is another attempt at pushing those boundaries and seeing, can I do a high kick? Can I do a low kick? Can I do
Right.
a spin kick? Can I do this?
And people want to believe, too, that this is not a good book. Like, people want to believe that you can't be good at everything. But then Travis was just in here during the break saying the reviews have been great so far.
So far, so good.
Yeah, is that, did you kind of know, though? Because you
never know.
even with a book,
You never know. Even with a book.
you don't know, looking at it, you and your co-writer don't look at it and go like, this is a good book. We know
We
this.
think it's great.
Right.
We think it should be on every kitchen table in the world, But we're in a small minority when we think like that. And it's nice when you have great editors. We have great editors that were working with us, great publishers that were working with us. When they resonate with it and they give you a little inkling to say, hey, I think we're onto something here, that's comforting. But
Right.
at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it depends on the fans and it depends on the readers.
Well, and your name is on it. It's not representing the editors. It's like that's what's
Right,
interesting.
right.
Like from being a comic, I have immediate feedback, and I kind of know which way to go based on that. But for writing a book, you have the feedback of your editor and your friends and stuff like that. But you don't really know what it is or how it's being received until you release the thing.
That's right.
And it's already finished. You can't change it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's something, yeah, you.
I've been in a couple of bad movies like that, too. If you really, really talk about it. It's like,
Right.
what? That was not the movie I signed up to be in.
have you had that experience where you're like, on paper, this looks great. We're filming. This seems great. And then you go and see this movie and you're like, what is this movie?
We have a movie coming out now titled Armed Response. And it's a co-production with Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Sure.
His new shingle. And a partnership with WWE.
Right.
They have a multi-picture deal with WWE, and we, Monty House Studios, we have a multi-picture deal. So we decided, I would join the crew, I would join the ensemble for Gene Simmons' new film.
Right.
And then I get sent the poster.
Right.
And the poster is only me. I'm like, yo, what happened to Gene? What Seth Rollins is in this?
Right.
Seth Rollins is in this.
Right.
Gene Simmons is in the movie. Yo,
Gene's like, I kind of
Snipes
watched
is the
it and I
only
took my
guy
face off.
on the poster.
Have you seen the movie?
Nah.
But
Nah.
you're sitting there like, I don't remember this being a Wesley Snipes full.
I'm telling you, this is exactly what we asked them,
Right.
the marketing team. And it was like, yeah, but that was a part of the deal. I was like, whose deal? It wasn't part of my deal. So they started throwing it back and forth, I hope the movie's good, I get the credit. If the movie's bad, then it wasn't me.
Right, right. Except that's your face being all over the poster.
Yeah, man. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, and look at that. Seth Rollins gets to go back to wrestling. Gene Simmons gets to do whatever he wants to do because it's a Wesley Snipes movie.
And there was a person who wrote in one of these little blogs or tweets or something like that. Oh, this may be Wesley Snipes has come back. We'll see if it's a hit, then oh great, he's on the rise again. But if it's not, his career's over.
No.
I'm like, yo, it's not even my movie. I'm an ensemble player. Here.
Right.
I appreciate the love, but spread it around.
This is becoming your comeback story, and you're like, that's not. I don't know that I would have signed up for this as the comeback
exactly.
movie.
Like, dude, yo, they didn't even put Gene Simmons on the poster. It's Gene Simmons.
Not
Yeah.
even a tongue.
Yeah, not even something.
Not even his tongue.
Put him in face paint. Whatever you have to do. Oh my
amazing.
God!
The
But
nature of the game.
That's the business. Do you
Nature
have
of the
to
game.
just like? Do you get mad at that in the moment and then just brush it aside because you have to move on to the next thing?
Yeah. It's part of the business.
Yeah.
And look, it's a long journey. This is a marathon, right? And
Absolutely.
if one film doesn't work, hey, like Woody says, we'll get him next time. We keep working on it.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I got into writing the book,
Right.
which is very cinematic, and it lends itself as to be a nice template for what the film could be.
Is that what you want? You want has it been optioned yet?
Monty House controls the rights to it.
Uh-huh.
And we, at this particular point, have not put it out there. So we're going to
Okay.
see. Let the readership and the reading community
Gotcha. If it's a wanted thing.
resonate. Yeah. And we'll
It
see
almost
how
looks
that
like it could be
goes.
the Wesley Snipes video game vehicle. Like just from the cover in and of
we do
itself.
produce video games as well.
Of course
Well,
you
there
do.
you go.
Of
Yeah.
course you do.
So,
Is this something where if it became a movie, you would want to be the star of it? Would you want to be the director? What would you want to what would you want to do with this?
producing, of course.
Yes.
But I don't know. Of course, it's written with a flavor and the mind of me playing Talon,
Yeah.
the holy warrior.
Were you?
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Did
there
you
may
be-
be somebody else that out there better, My man over here, we put him,
I could
never
bulk
know.
up and play the Talon of God
Hey,
for sure.
see,
Yeah.
non-traditional cast.
Get me on a few of those
gonna
cycles
have to
Ryan
get very
Reynolds
strict.
took in Blade Trinity. I'll bulk up. I'll get those abs.
And that's the thing too about being a producer, right? Is that you want to do whatever's going to make the most money for the film. You have to put your ego aside.
Or you want to do what's ever best for the film and
Right.
best for the story.
Right.
And sometimes you don't insert yourself into everything. I'm comfortable with myself and who Wesley is. I don't need to be, in everything and everywhere and all the time.
Did you become difficult to work with at any point? Because, I mean, you had this run. like not many people have had it run. And I mean, you talk about
So I heard I was difficult.
is that right?
That's what I heard. But of course, when you are focused on quality
Yes.
and you're working with people who don't have your pedigree or don't have your skill set, of course they're gonna call you difficult. That goes with the territory.
But you're like, you guys
But
aren't
the
on my
proof is
level.
the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
you
Right.
know? Let the product speak for itself.
Yeah.
And now we can go back to the videotape. Let's go back to. You remember when I told you?
Yeah. And I mean, look, that's what when you're sitting there talking about a marathon and this being a comeback movie and this book being this and that, regardless, at the end of the day, you've got more movies than most that have lasted forever. I mean,
yeah.
you do, White Man Can't Jump, New Jack City,
iconic films.
just iconic after
Money
iconic
Train.
after iconic, Money Train, all these movies.
These giant hands were wrapped on J-Lo's tits. How good is that?
that will last forever. It was a good time.
Don't bring that up. There's a whole lot of people who don't want to hear that.
Fair enough. I'll just watch it.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grabbing tits is fun.
Yeah.
It is. It's
It
When
is,
it's
right?
legal. When it's legal. As long as it's legal.
Yeah. Wasn't that what's great about movies? That, like, you have way more opportunity to grab titty than in regular life, right?
I don't know about Hooters. I mean, if I ran a Hooters franchise, I might be in a whole different ball.
You probably, even as a boss, it's your responsibility to test out the durability of
That's
those
true.
bags. Yeah.
That's true. It is a responsibility. What do you think of what people are talking about now? People are talking about not only Blade being remade, but White Man Can't Jump being remade. And I was watching White Man Can't Jump last night, and like looking at it in the context of 2017, and it was like the whole movie was about the comedy of differences between white people, between black people, between men, between women, between Puerto Rican, and like that's not the culture that we live in anymore. Like it doesn't seem like the type of thing that would lend itself to a remake
kind
in
of polarized
2017.
right now, huh?
We're kind of polarized, and we don't like talking about differences. We like acting like, well, just bringing that up is a bad thing. You know?
Well, it's always a little different on the court.
Yeah.
Right? The camaraderie and the banter is always different in the sports, on the sports field. So that might be a microcosm of the world that actually appreciates that kind of those kinds of sensibilities.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
Do you think it's something that could be successfully remade, or that you'd want to see it remade?
Well, hey, we have a saying: if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
So if they do, great. If it works, okay, that's cool. Woody and I, we did what we did, and it's going to stand, and people still resonate with it for forever. Generation after generation are introduced to that work, and they appreciate it. So
I would
Yeah.
be much more interested in seeing the sequel of you and Woody still playing. Like as
Right.
in the
Or
career
pulling
of your
or pulling
playground
some
Twilight.
kind of other confidence game.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the Sting. So we had an idea of actually doing a version of the Sting and a version of White Men Can't Jump in the confidence game type of a world. Something that we've been toying around with for a number of years now.
Well, and I'm
Woody
a
and I,
basketball
Joe.
guy, and I heard you couldn't play before the movie. Is
Yeah,
that
I
true?
was really offended by that. I don't know who said all of that.
It really got out, though, right?
Yeah, man, I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
But at the time, I was a street baller.
Yeah.
But I had been focusing a lot more on the martial arts, so I didn't have the handle that I had when I was really playing ball in the Bronx on a day-to-day basis. And by the time we got to audition for the film, an audition in which they called in every actor in Hollywood.
Wow.
From the Brat Pack to the Rat Pack to
Really?
everybody auditioned. They did a 3-on-3 and they did a 4-on-4.
Wow.
Right? And on occasions they might do a full court. I went in and I auditioned. I didn't hit a shot. Everything I threw up was a straight brick. But I talked shit the whole time. So the producers was actually laughing about this. Like, man, you didn't hit a shot, but you talked a whole lot of shit. You're hired.
Was there anybody on the auditioning there that like intimidated you? Like, I'm not going to get the role over this guy.
All of the players that was playing.
All of them, right? That's why you had to
I
talk
knew I had
shit.
Charlie Sheen, though. I wasn't worried about that. Rob Lowe and Charlie Sheen. Nah, I wasn't worried.
Charlie Sheen smoking cigarettes in between points.
Yeah.
Can you believe all of them cats, they auditioned for that movie?
That's incredible.
Yeah, everybody in Hollywood, they auditioned, everybody.
Wow.
And we played basketball 24/7. 6 days a week we shot, and we played basketball when we got to work. We played basketball while we were working. We played basketball at lunch, and we played basketball after we wrapped.
And you and Woody got along, obviously.
Oh, yeah, to this day, we still get along.
Can you imagine the torture that would have been if they'd cast it and it was just some douchebag that you didn't like? Like, how do you do it then?
Very different movie.
Right, I would think so.
Very different movie.
I think that scene where he's trying to get you in the zone and get you pissed off would have happened a lot easier. Was it how much of it was ad-libbed and how much of it was scripted? Because that's something we were talking about, that like so much of the shit talking, especially on your end, like there is so much shit coming out of your mouth at such a speed, but it's all like, God damn, did he say like you know what I mean? The stuff that
Ron Sheldon, great friend, great director. He gave us a lot of leeway in that. He wanted it to feel like it does when you're playing street ball. You know, give us that freedom. So that kind of thing you can't actually write.
Right.
You know, and if you try to write it, then in the moment you probably will forget the line.
Yeah.
So he gave us some freedom, but it was very well structured, very well directed. Yeah.
When Blade becomes the success that it became, do you start feeling like invincible? Because, I mean, it's just like, because you were so hands-on with that. Do you feel like...
Well, that's a different movie, Sam.
No,
Really? But, you know, like you go hit, you know, you have this string of hits. But, like, you were so a part of that Blade franchise. And like you said, not everybody thought that this would be as successful as it was.
Well,
Do you feel
remember
like...
at that time, they didn't give me the credit for the contribution. It was presumed and assumed that there were other people who were behind the success or should be credited for the success of the film. And also, I didn't really know at that time how it was resonating with the world. That was still very unclear.
You don't have the Twitter feedback or anything
No,
of that
we didn't
nature.
have any
Nothing
of
is
that.
instant, so it has to get back to you after it goes
Nada.
across the country.
Right, nada,
Wow.
nada. So
Yeah.
it just was kind of like, wow, this is resonating. I remember there was a moment when they did a screening of the film, and I think Bob Shea, who was the president of Lionsgate at the time, if my memory serves me right, he was sitting in the back, and someone overheard him saying, "Why do people like this?" The film is already made. He's like, "I don't get it. Why do people like this?"
Good. It's good to have the support of the company.
Yeah, really. Like, still?
Yeah.
Still?
Thanks, Bob.
Still I'm taking shit for this? But it was successful, and that's the...
Yeah.
That's the deal behind it.
But that's the beauty of this situation here with Talon of God. We get to control it from the beginning to the end. We have a lot more say in how the film is going to be put together. When we get to it, by the grace of God, we will. And this particular book is we've planned it to be one of a trilogy. It's a standalone project now, or story now, with a closed end, but it also opens the door for the second and the third. So we have to see where the film fits in that time.
Is it one film? Is
time
it three
frame.
films? Is it...
Yeah. Do you do a film before you release the second book?
Right.
All of these kind of things,
Right.
To be
If
considered.
R.R. Martin
This is the beauty of having some influence and control over your own creativity. Now you can work with, and design how it's going to roll out. You have like-minded people and individuals who are focused on the best strategy for the film or best strategy for the IP as a whole.
At what point did you realize that control was that important? Because a lot of actors are just actors, right? They go in, they do their acting, they think thing, they leave.
Oh my gosh! When I was doing a couple of films that I did in Europe, or a couple of films, and I would get accused, or the actor would be accused of the success or the failure of the film, which is kind of mind-boggling when you consider that filmmaking is so collaborative.
Right.
There's so many people involved. And the marketing team sometimes doesn't communicate with the production team, and the production team doesn't communicate with the director. So there's a lot of people, a lot of hands in the pot in making films.
And you're like, if I'm going to get blamed for this, I need to take control of this.
When the weekend box office numbers come out, it says, "Oh, Wesley Snipes' film was a flop this weekend. His career is over." And it's like, "Oh, Wesley Snipes' film is on the rise. He's always..."
Well, it's like the
wow.
quarterback getting the blame after his defense gives up 50 points.
Right.
It's the same
Good
thing.
example.
Yeah, you're the
Right.
head, you're the head, you're
Good
the face
example.
of it.
How did your troubles with tax evasion were documented? How did
I was never charged with tax evasion.
what were you charged with? I don't want to.
Well, we'll come back to that. You know, we will. There's going to be a time because you don't know the whole story. I'm quite sure, right?
I'm sure not.
Yeah, most people don't.
Right. Right.
There will be time. There's going to come a time we're going to have a very good conversation about it. But you might want to do your research, and that way you'll understand what really went down.
You got screwed over a little bit.
Well, it depends on who's asking.
But I look forward to that conversation because
Yeah.
I mean that's
You having tax problems?
I'm not yet, but I hope not to.
Unknowingly, I'm
Right.
quite sure.
I make about
Right.
There's a whole lot of people that won't admit that they have tax problems right now, too. I'm quite sure.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure the government has a
the
problem
whole
with the amount
studio
I
just
make.
got quiet.
No, we don't bring up the T word. Don't bring up the
The
T word.
whole studio got real quiet. Everybody got,
How did your perspective change though after you got out and it was time to go back to work? Are you a different person or was it just
You're going to be a different person every day.
right?
Change is inevitable. That's the only constant that there really is, right? So, of course, you're going to be elevated by your wins and your losses. And when you go through fire, it makes you better. That's how you make the greatest swords. You got to put through fire. It has to be killed. You got to layers and layers and layers to make it strong and build up that tensile strength. So, am I stronger now than I was before? Damn right I am.
Yeah.
Right.
Did
Right.
you film Undisputed before you went in, or was that after?
You got to do your research, man.
I know, but it's
Mike,
one of my favorite
that's a
movies.
terrible
I
question.
fucking love that movie, and it's based on
we
Mike
can say,
Tyson,
what
right?
the fuck are you talking about,
What are
man?
you talking about, Mike?
never-
You
my
don't know
heart
my
has never
history.
fluttered harder.
The fuck are you talking
I'm,
about?
Mike.
I'm high, Wesley. I
That
gotta
is
tell
a
you.
fucking terrible question.
on the
I
fuck-
mean,
do your
God
fucking
damn
homework.
it. The fuck.
What the
Wesley,
hell
if I
is
knew I was
going
bringing
on?
unprofessionals in here.
Well,
I mean,
you're
you
the
know what I'm
last
saying?
professional. You should have known.
Jeez, read the book. Heal, you demon. Heal.
If I could get baptized by Wesley Snipes on the radio, boy, would that make for a nice Wednesday.
well, that's what reading Talon of God will do for you. It's a
Yes.
baptism by Wesley Snipes right there. Everybody should check out this book, especially because it's a novel. It's like a supernatural thriller, as you said, cinematic.
Urban, faith-based supernatural thriller.
Yeah.
Where the forces of evil, the fallen angels, are having an ongoing invisible battle with the holy host
Yes.
and the warriors of light. And a holy warrior is tasked with protecting a young woman who doesn't know that she's been chosen by the Almighty to carry the sword of truth,
Wow.
sword of justice.
And
So
you've
we
got book signings.
action, we got drama, we got suspense, a little 48 hours in there.
Why are you laughing?
I don't know, I'm enjoying this.
You are? Good.